Welcome everyone to Charts Focus 1, where we teach you how to work hard and trade smart. As you guys see in the title of this video, we'll be going over two trades that we executed in the CFO Discord today, which was a Netflix short and a SPY long. Now I'll go over Netflix first, since that is the first trade that we did for the day. Now before we took this Netflix short, I sent in a Netflix technical analysis the previous night, so yesterday on Monday. And here's the exact screenshot of what I sent to my CFO Swing Watch members. To start this off, let me say this. Netflix needs a lot more consolidation to do if you want to reverse higher, especially if it wants to start filling that gargantuan earnings gap down that we saw back in April. Now, what am I talking about here? Well, if you take a look at your chart here for Netflix, we had a very large gap down on April 19th after hours, when Netflix pretty much reported very dismal earnings and very dismal guidance. Now, the next thing that I said was but that is another reason why I like Netflix so far as an RS, or relative strength name. It is making a macro base down here between 170 as critical support and about 250 as critical resistance. Quite the large price spread there in the macro base. Now, this name hasn't been showing a clear price trend, which is, making up a base. And it gives us the reason why we're currently in the process of making one. Because during a base, guys, we tend to not have a clear price trend, and we tend to move sideways, hence a macro base being formed. But since we have now reached the upper end of the macro base, we are in a dire need to go back down, and I think we're just about to do that. All my three SMAs shown in the chart, the 10, 21, and 50 from top to bottom, are flatlining and curling downward, with the price rejecting off of all of them and on the 230 support level. We can retest 219 to 220 if this happens. Now, let's go over what I just said here on the chart. So basically, what I was saying here was that on Monday, we closed almost at this 230 level, which was a very clear level of support in the past and a clear level of resistance in the past as well. And the number one sign that allowed me to think that this will be a perfect short for the next day was that, we rejected off of both of my 10 and 21 SMAs, which is my momentum pair SMAs on the short term perspective, and we rejected off of the 50 SMA, which is the long term perspective that I use for a support or resistance on the daily time frame or any of the bigger time frames. So once we rejected off of that and then we closed slightly below 230, I said, aha, there's a great chance that we can see a great short tomorrow if we decide to reject off of 230 once more. And guess what? Today we did exactly that. At open, we pumped all the way up to 230 and we reached the high of 230.44, and we immediately rejected from that point. And when I saw this, I said, okay, I'm going to get into the specific put contracts that I'm about to show you guys. And I'll be getting around a little bit later, not exactly at the break below 230, maybe around 229.50-ish for a little bit more confirmation, and I'll be good. And so what I said after that first Netflix analysis that I've shown to my members is that, we need to see a break of that 219 to 210 so that we take out the buyers who brought the price above that psychological level of $200 back in mid-July after earnings, or ER. This should take the price close to that lower end of the macro base, as I expect more negative fundamentals to come into the year's end and into next year. And so what I meant by that one was that, if we're able to push below 219 and 210, we should be able to see a revisit of $200. And back in mid-July, we were able to push up higher thanks to this earnings, right? And if we're able to push out any of the buyers that are still in here, back in mid-July, we should be able to revisit the larger perspective support on the macro base of 170. So basically, my long-term price target for Netflix for any type of short is 170. So with that long-term perspective in mind, okay, I sent in these three option contracts. So the first one was weekly contracts for 215 and 210 puts. And I said that if you guys wanted a little bit more time, I said you guys can choose the 200 puts for 10/21 expiration. Now the first thing that I grabbed this morning was the 210 puts. All right. Now these 210 puts were able to give me that 200% return within a few minutes after market open, right? And so I obviously got in, like I said, below 229.50-ish, right? And I was able to get out right underneath 220. I believe I started to get out and kind of take profits once we start to peak below 220, around 219 and 218, which just allowed me to have that maximum profit of 200%. Now, I believe my first sell was around 195, 190%, okay? But my full out was around 200%. But here's the thing, all right? So if I go on the 15-minute time frame, right? So obviously, right at the market open, right, we started going down and down and down, and we absolutely plunged 15 minutes after open, okay? And as we continued to plunge, we didn't even find any type of support at 220, and we continued to go lower and lower and lower. And this is where I got out, around right here. And unfortunately for me, we pushed even lower. And those same contracts, those 210 contracts, they ended up being, I think, around a high of maybe like 450% in return. So that was obviously my fault for not allowing to have a runner in mind. But you know what? 200% is completely fine. You don't get that on a very, very hard market environment like this, right? So if you guys are having trouble dealing with the fact that, hey, you might be thinking to yourself, oh my god, I only got let's say 20%, 50%, 80%, right? Just know that anything above 10 to 50% in return in this trading environment is really, really good. All right, so don't beat yourself too hard for being able to get 20%, 50%, 80%, or anything above triple digit returns, right? So you want to make sure that you have a good mindset for yourself, right? Especially when you're day trading like this in this trading environment, and make sure you don't do what I did today, because I basically did a revenge trade. So what happened after this was that, okay, I told myself, wait a second, I've missed out on more than 200% more gains, right? And what I wanted to see was a retest of 219 to 220, because I knew that if we see a retest of 220 to 219, we would get a rejection. Why? Because we did not see any type of bounce happening, right? Once we broke below this 220 to 219 area. And so I said, all right, there has to be a rejection. And to my luck, we absolutely moved straight up. And we had 5 consecutive green candlesticks until the point of rejection at 220. And that's when I got another put for Netflix, right? And I was able to scalp down, and I was able to get 15% on this scalp down. It was a revenge trade, but I didn't get too big of a return, which is the reason why it was very, very risky, and you guys should never ever do that, right? And my members saw how frustrated I was today and how salty I was today. But hey, you know what? Everyone goes through these emotions. It doesn't matter how long you've been trading. Everyone will go through these same exact set of emotions, right? I wish I could have held longer. I want to revenge trade because I wasn't able to hold it longer, right? A little bit longer. And we had those same thoughts. And so, luckily I was able to get up with 15%, right? But like I said, do not revenge trade, because if I decide to hold and decide to try to at least hold all the way back down, if my thought process was like, okay, I want to revenge trade this all the way back down to the previous low that we made, I would have lost my money, right? Now I would probably have to get stopped out above 220 here, maybe around 221 for a $1 stop loss. Okay, so make sure you guys are never ever revenge trading. All right, so that was the 200% trade there for Netflix. Now let's go over what happened with SPY. Okay, so SPY was also done in the 15-minute time frame. So if you guys are wondering, okay, so this is all done in the 15-minute time frame. Now, SPY here, as we start to pile drive lower, okay, we actually found support around 356. And after this inverse hammer candlestick was formed, I said, all right, at this point, we are going to see some type of a bounce. And that's exactly what we did. And for almost, I will say, almost 3 hours here, right, we start to go up higher and higher and higher. And as we broke above 360, and 360 was the level that we need to break above in order to completely fill in the gap that we made to the downside. So if you guys don't know, today we actually gapped down at open, and we were able to fill in the gap today early in the morning, on the early hours. And in order for us to fully fill in the gap, we had to break above 360.04 specifically. And once we broke above that, I said, okay, we have to start coming back down and retest 360 once more. And that was when I said, all right, let's look for calls. And another great trader of mine in the CFO Discord also confirmed this with me by saying that he was in 365 calls that expire tomorrow. Okay, so October 12th. And here is that message right here. Okay. Oops, that's the wrong one. Right over here. I'm able to bring it up. My apologies, guys. There we go. Right over here. So I put this in the CFO Pro Traders channel. SPY 365 calls 10/12, which expires tomorrow. Right? And that was put in exactly, okay, at around 9 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, which is around 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So that's when lunchtime started. And I got in around, I would say 359.80-ish. Okay, 359.80-ish. I got in a little bit early because I wanted to see if we have a nice bounce at the 21 SMA. And guess what? We did. And so I said that's going to coincide with the 360 support level, excuse me. Right? And once that happened, I said, okay, if we start to use 360 as support, then we can start heading up into new high of the day. And that's exactly what we did. And as we went to new highs here, we absolutely ended up going above to around 85% in return. And that was when I said, okay, it's time for us to start looking at a potential way to, well, scale out this position. Because as we're hitting higher days, it's probably a good idea to take profits into strength. And that's what I told my members. And when I told that message there, we were around 80% plus on that scalp. So this is what I said. This long from 360 to 362 should be a 80% plus scalp. Take it if you guys want. That is a really good SPY scalp return, which indeed it was, right? And so I personally took some, right? However, I did not take more profits off because I expected a bull flag to form, which we did. So later on in the day, as we waited after lunchtime was done as well, we started to form this nice looking bull flag. But out of nowhere, okay, I believe we got some really bad news, fundamental news, and a catalyst. I believe China and China's zero COVID policy, right? And so I believe the market was scared by China once more, and that's the reason why we got that big flush to the downside. We weren't unfortunately able to hold above 360, which I was hoping it would do, but the selling strength and volume was too strong, and we headed right back down to the previous low that we made of 355.81, and eventually we made a new low of 355.71. So exactly 10 cents below the first low of the day that we got at the market open after 30 minutes at the market open, exactly. So once we're able to get that new low, we were able to kind of bounce up and end up slightly on a positive note on the 15-minute time frame, right? But obviously, if you take a look at the daily time frame, it looks very, very ugly. So those were the 2 trades that we took today. All right, so hopefully that was a good insight on how we operate in the CFO Discord. I didn't show you guys all the messages that I've shown. I've said in the CFO Discord today for both Netflix and SPY trades that we took today. But fortunately, a lot of my members were able to get into, especially that SPY calls. And some other extra trades that I won't be sharing with you guys because you guys need to be in the CFO Discord as well. And if you guys want to become a CFO Discord member, you have to be a CFO Swing and Watch member first, right? So if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, check out the link in the description box below. It says CFO Swing and Watch newsletter, and the link is provided right below that statement. Okay. Now, if you guys miss it, well, I don't know how you guys gonna miss it because it is the first link in the description box. So make sure you guys check that out. There are 2 discount codes below as well. All right, so make sure you guys take the opportunity to use that. All right, so with SPY and Netflix today, we had a great day. And if you guys want more recap videos like this, make sure you guys leave a thumbs up. And if you guys are new here, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. If you guys didn't like any of the information that I gave you guys today in this video, you guys can not leave a thumbs up button. Maybe you guys can hit the thumbs down button. Whatever it is, you guys can choose. I'll leave that up to you. All right, I'll see you guys all in another video. Thank you for your time.